Hi, I'm Matthew, and today I'm going to be doing my 422 on the article No Zombies Allowed. The first quote that I picked is, "This class is about much more than that. For one thing, it's about becoming more confident about speaking up and expressing yourself, not just when the cameras are rolling, but anytime." And when I was a transfer student before I came to App, I had a public speaking class, and in this class I learned to how to speak and how to present myself and certain techniques that other people have used to help deliver messages and become more um, and sound better when they speak. And this helped me really to be able to have confidence about speaking up and speaking in public. But as teachers, we need to help. We don't need to have just a class to do that. We need to go through and teach our students every day um, these skills and being more confident about who they are. And a lot of times, talking more about expressing yourself. Kids are a lot of times afraid to express themselves because they get made fun of. Bullying is such an issue um, in school that they're afraid that they're going to get picked on or made fun of for really showing exactly who they are. But we as teachers should encourage that and help students to realize their potential of who they could be by just expressing themselves. My next quote is, "To succeed in this class, you have to think," I told my kids after my opening monologue had finally reached its end. No zombies allowed. As a history teacher, I want to encourage my students to think on a daily basis and to think about history and how it has impacted our lives and um, the lives of how we got to where we are. And by doing that, it's creating them to use their own minds and to come up with their own ways and not think about um, how the teacher can teach us what we need to know. It's causing them to learn. I'm not saying that I want to make them study every night or um, not teach them things. What I'm saying is that I want them to use their minds and to think and as it says, not become a zombie. When you become a zombie, it's class it and fun, learning it and fun, and it causes you not to want to learn or go to school. My third quote says, "What he is saying right there," is he explained, "is that a lot of teachers, they can't really relate to what kids are going through, because they come from a different background." When we as teachers, we're going to see kids from all different types of backgrounds and all walks of life. And when you have a kid that has come from the same background as you and went through some of the same things as you tend to be able to relate more to them than someone who is probably, say, in the lower class than you are. Usually, you don't see very many teachers who come out of a very poverty-stricken home because the parents don't have the money or the resources to send their kids to school. So, as teachers, we don't need to look at where these kids have come from, but we need to focus on where they're going and how to get them there and be supporters of getting them there. My last quote is, "Still, I often wonder if what I am teaching the kids in my class is making a difference." It seems to me, especially since I'm a basketball coach, that's a lot of questions that everyone has on their mind. Um, is what I'm doing going to change them in any way, or help them, or impact their lives in any way in a positive manner? And we should always be asking ourselves that: are we making a difference in their lives? When we make a difference in someone's life, it's better than getting a reward for being the best teacher. Because when you teach someone or make a difference in someone's life, you can't write it down on paper or have an award for that. It's the greatest feeling in the world. And I've been around people who have made a difference in my life, and there's nothing I can do to repay them. so, as teachers, we should always be striving to make a difference in a positive manner for a student. My first question that I was wondering as I was reading was, when teaching a new class for the first time, what can we do as teachers to really excel at making it interesting, as well as a new way to be more than just educators to kids? When we come up with new classes, it's sometimes kind of difficult because you don't know what expectations you have, or really what the curriculum is wanting, or have any material really for a new class. And so it's kind of a good way to figure out different ways to be a teacher to kids, more than just learning the facts or learning the numbers of something. It becomes more of how can we affect the kids' lives. And so it would be kind of interesting to me to try and teach a newly designed class, just for the simple fact I would want to learn, is there any different way that I could teach? My second question is, what are some of the ways that CSS teachers that can make or break a student's learning ability in our class? I remember having teachers that were just so boring and monotone that I didn't want to go to class, or I didn't want to take notes because I didn't see the point in learning from them, because it was just an absolute bore, and it broke me on wanting to learn and learn more about that subject. You never know, I could have really wanted to excel in that class or in that subject area, but I didn't have the opportunity or want to make myself, because the teacher was just a bore. And so we as teachers, I feel like, should always be striving to help our kids be excited about learning and want to learn about our particular subject that we are teaching. My first experience that I want to talk about is when I was in high school. I took a math. It was called discrete math. It was a relatively new math, especially to our school, that our teachers were just becoming accustomed to and learning, and I was actually one of the first classes. And if I remember correctly, the teacher that I had never taught the subject before, and so walking in, she's a little nervous about not knowing what she should teach or how she should teach it. So it was but it made it interesting, because she used us as a way to help learn how she was going to teach it in the future, and learn the right way and the wrong way to address something. And so it was kind of cool to see how she used us to learn as well. And then my next experience I'm going to talk about is actually being a zombie in the class. When I was a freshman in high school, I was in a world history class, and every day we would walk in and we would watch a movie, and sometimes, on the rare occasion, we would write down the definitions of a particular chapter. But I would say about 95% of the time we would walk in and we would watch the movies. And a lot of times we wouldn't even watch the movies, we would take a nap. It was the longest class of the day. We were in there for about an hour and 30 minutes, which the other ones were a little shorter than that, but this being lunch, it had to be longer. And so we were going in and sleeping for an hour and a half each day. And those who stayed awake to watch the movie just was dead coming out of that room. They weren't able to pay attention, and in their next class, some of the students were having trouble because of how zombified they were walking out of that class. Well, these are some of the points that I wanted to explore in my 422. I hope they help. Thanks.